Job 17 to 21. Well, our friends continue their assault on Job. Their basic point again is you've got to obey the divine world. I think it was 18:5 where Bildad makes one of the standard statements that they've all been trying to say. No God would do this to you if you treated him right. Notice again that what Job is arguing for throughout his speeches, though, is quite different. And this is something I believe we need to catch as we go through the book of Job. And I'm going to think of the word trust here. We could put loyalty, allegiance, and we're going to be seeing this concept many times in the biblical story to follow. And that is the difference between these two worldviews, where I would trust in a deity versus obey a deity. Sometimes there's overlap, but I just want you to see this even as early as the book of Job. What is interesting about trust, and Job is teaching us this in some ways, you can argue with, question, doubt, complain to, and so forth, a God that you trust. Your best friends are the ones that you talk to most honestly, right? And that's what Job is doing. These friends are horrified by someone who would be that honest with his God. At one point, Job has made, I believe it was back in 15, though he slay me, I will trust him, even if God were to let him die. Let's talk quickly about that because there is a big difference in the Old Testament and our understanding of death. The Hebrew word for pit is Sheol. And they believed in the Old Testament world that they would simply go down into a pit after death and live, but in a musty, quiet place. They didn't understand it. In other words, it was just a tradition of the day that after death, we're not sure what happens, but let's call it a pit where people, prince and pauper alike, all go and live quietly in a place that's not bad. It's not hell, but neither is it heaven. Okay, that's the concept of the afterlife, if you want to call it that, in the Old Testament. Very, very questionable understanding of anything because God had not revealed it. That'll come later. Resurrection will be a discussion to watch for as the biblical story unfolds from left to right. But Job even said, God, if he were to kill me, I will still trust in him. Here are verses, by the way, that reflect Job's understanding of Sheol and the idea that you do not come back from the dead. So one last thought before we leave this one, and that this is in 19:25 and 26. The reason I bring it up is because almost every version, I looked it up, almost every version that I read in English has this line, I know that my capital R Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand upon the earth. What this is an example of, to me, again, remember what I say about capital letters. Be very careful. The reason that letter is capitalized in your Bible is not because of Hebrew. It's because of a Christian understanding of going to the end of the Bible and putting ideas back into it. Obviously, we know who a Redeemer is in the New Testament. His name is Jesus. Would Job have known that? I would recommend that based on the story that he's telling to his audience, he's talking about actually a vindicator. It's the same word. It's just a normal word of someone who stands up and says, hey, I can vindicate this person. He was actually innocent. What Job's fear is that he will die and that his vindicator, who is somewhere on the earth at this point but not talking, not speaking up, will finally say, yes, Job was right. He was innocent. And you guys are wrong. So be careful again. I would recommend there's a difference between meaning and application. The meaning of 19:25 and 26 is that Job knows his vindicator is somewhere on the earth and not talking. The application may be way down the future that Jesus is a vindicator or a redeemer. But be careful that we import meaning too early. Continue reading through Job and watching again for this big difference between trusting and obeying.